This is Templeton Board of Appeals. We're having a public hearing to consider the petition made by DNA Holding Incorporated, Jim Davis of 881 Patriots Road, to consider a special permit for a change or substantial extension of use. And this is a continuation from a meeting in February. Jim, are you available to let us know what you want to do here? You get some new information for us?
Sure. Well, last time I came to the board, you guys were great in listening to what I wanted to do, and I wanted to basically build more units on my spot there, more self-storage units, steel buildings, just basically rows of garage doors, maybe about 12 feet high. My sketch was terrible. I understand that. So I found a great surveyor who gave us what I think is a pretty detailed plan showing removing of one building that I have there and then putting up 3 more. And it just kind of stakes out some plantings in the front, keeping the existing curb cuts the same, and just trying to maximize the space, really, is what I'd like to do.
Okay, this is the plan here. We've got dated the February 20, what is it? 25th, 2021.
Yes.
That's the plan we're looking at now.
Yeah, it shows 2 existing buildings plus 3 more, and then removing a barn, and then the existing garage and apartment, and the lot line.
Okay. I was looking at the plan here, and I noticed a couple of things that hit me. They're pretty obvious, and that was the rear setbacks. The rear setback is 30 feet, and it appeared that you're encroaching on the rear setback. One building at 16 feet, another building was at 17 feet.
Yes, I thought they were 15. That must be our mistake. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, the zoning on the rear setback is 30 feet. The side lot would be 15, but the rears are 30 feet.
Okay. Well, wouldn't it be difficult to move that, basically shrink those 2 buildings till we achieve 30 feet? That's for sure.
But still maintaining the 25 feet between the 2 buildings that are there that you're proposing?
Yeah, 25. I mean, I'm not going to say it's arbitrary. It allows 2 cars to pass without hitting each other, hitting the building. A lot of times, when people move in, they have, U-Haul, those cube vans, cube trucks. But yeah, we just make the 180-foot building shorter by however many feet it takes to achieve 30. And the same thing on that 100 by, I can't read it, I'm sorry, 100 by 30. We could shorten that one to achieve the 30 also.
All right, I do have another question. If we were to approve this, you have a bunch of trailers, a couple of trailers and a construction trailer out back. If we were to give you this, would you be willing to make sure that all storage is inside only? In other words, you can't put boats or trailers or campers or anything else on the property, just strictly indoor.
Yeah, the only thing I would ask is if I could store like a plow truck outside for my use.
That I could see, but I mean, as far as the 2 trailers and the construction trailer, and even like I say, I've gone by some other places, and they got boats and campers and everything outside, and it just, with the buildings, everything, there's just going to be no room for it. So
yeah, no worries. I wouldn't definitely
So,
not be.
so if we put that in the writing, you wouldn't have a problem with that?
Yes, so what you're saying is no outdoor parking at all?
No outdoor trailers, like the trailers you have on there, no boats, no campers stored. It's all strictly inside the building.
Yes. Could I do a truck? Or actually maybe two trucks out there or behind the building or something?
If they're maintenance for the building, I personally don't see a problem with that. I don't know how the other board members are, but
Okay.
I don't have a problem with the plow truck and maybe another truck there.
Yeah, I'm just writing this down, but yeah, I would not be opposed to that. That would be fine. Thank you.
Okay. That's all I have to say, John.
Okay, and I was looking at another thing on the plan. It appears that you're proposing some landscaping in the right of way of Patriots Road in the state's easement. I don't think that's I don't think that'll fly. I don't know if you need to push, I think it's important to have some screening in the front, especially where it's a residential area now. And so I think there should be some screening in the front. And you've got the proposed landscaping in the right of way of Route 2A.
Gotcha. Okay. Only because that's just what's existing. I mean, those, I guess I call them, yeah, I guess they're plantings or landscaping. They're just basically, grass areas, and there's a mailbox on one of them. So I could, I guess, put a fence along the actual property line out of that area. I guess I have to go back to the surveyor on that and ask him how that would
Yeah.
work. I don't see that being a problem.
It appears it's proposed landscaping on the plan.
Yes.
It states it's proposed. So, you're saying it's already there, but on the plan, it says it's proposed landscaping. And I think that should get moved back. So you might have to shrink the buildings down in the front as well. I know that one building's already existing.
Yeah.
But you do what you can there with fencing and screening. And
Mr. Fletcher,
yes, Laurie.
I have a comment from YouTube.
Okay.
The comment is, generally speaking, once a use has been established and meets the requirement for the protection as non-conforming use, inherently such non-conforming use cannot be expanded.
Without a special permit, is that correct?
That's in your wheelhouse. I'm just relaying the comment.
Okay, and who was that comment from?
That was from Mass Vocals.
So was that wasn't it a butter? Or do they identify themselves?
It's actually, it's just under Mass Vocals. It's not an abutter. It is in the neighborhood though. And the second comment is the zoning currently doesn't allow this type of non-conforming use. The board cannot allow new building, which are new commercial as these units, in these units. Again, I'm just relaying the information to you as it comes through.
Yeah, very good, thank you. Yeah, I'll try to address that. They cannot do it by right. It's clear in the zoning statute that if you want to expand a pre-existing non-conforming use, you need to go to the Board of Appeals for a special permit. And that's why we're here, to hear public comment on issuing a public permit. So it is legal to have a hearing, and if the board finds that it's not, the proposed use is not more detrimental, or the proposed expansion is not more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing use, it does have the powers to grant a special permit for this use.
Mass Vocals with, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Lori.
Mass Vocals just wanted to comment that that is not correct.
Okay. Any other board members have any comments or concerns here?
I got something I want to say.
All right, Ron.
I do remember Ray Rice built these units back in 2003. I also contacted the police department to see if there were any complaints. As far as the police, they're checked every night. When they do their rounds to check all the businesses in town, haven't had any complaints. The only one they came up with was a fire alarm. A smoke detector went off in the apartment above one of the garages. Other than that, they went all the way back to 2018, and there's never been a complaint here at all. I wasn't at this meeting the last time, so I went back to actually go through a couple of town meetings to find it. And when I did, I noticed that the town is trying to find money to help pay the taxes, with the taxes to pay for the new school. They need money for the roads. They have a loader that's down, that's not working. They're looking for money, and I see this gentleman here that's going to put up some new buildings. Looks like it's going to be nice. I thought when I first heard it that when people were talking about expanding, I thought it was going to be, he bought more land, it was going to expand it and make it bigger. That's not true. It's within the footprint that he's always had. And he seems to be doing anything we've asked him. He's going to shrink the buildings up to make them pass. And I think this is a good fit for the town. The town does need the money, the revenue, and I am for it.
Thank you, Ron. Do we have any other board members with concerns or comments?
Yeah, John, I have just a couple, like you said, the way you're saying, if he shrinks the building so we have the 30 feet in the back and we do something with the front of the property, I don't see anything wrong.
Okay.
It's not gonna be like, there's gonna be a lot of traffic, extra traffic there for the couple of buildings. I mean, it's just storage, and, you've gone by it. We've all gone by all different ones, and how many times you see even people there? They're usually just empty, nobody around. So I don't see a problem, and I think it's gonna make it look better with the pole barn down, and
Yeah.
it'll make the road look better.
Yeah, I agree. I think that really is an eyesore right now, that barn thing.
Agreed.
So can I ask Mr. Davis a question? One concern I have is how many units are there now?
Right now, I
Total-
have,
Total units that can have somebody going and coming from?
right now I have, I'm not sure the number, about 63.
63, and then what will the total number be after this expansion you propose?
Well, we're shrinking the buildings down a little bit, so
Ballpark, I'm not looking for an exact number, I'm just curious how big of an expansion we're talking here, we doubling, tripling, or, that's my concern.
we're at least doubling, depending on if I do, 5x5s or 10x20s. But it would be double. I mean, I would love to get another, 100 units in there, which on a residential project, it sounds like a ton. But as far as self-storage, it's really not that much. I know when you look at like, Easy Storage and CubeSmart, those guys have 300-400 up to 1,000 units on a site. This is just not that. It just isn't the room. But it would be, it is. I am going to hopefully double it. Would be the goal to try to.
Well, it's safe to say, one of my concerns is you have no idea what is in these units. And it's safe to say that we're doubling our concern as to what somebody could idiotically put in them. Storage of gasoline, whatever, just anything that's in there, you have no way of monitoring what's in there.
I, by law, can't go into somebody's unit and tell them what they, well, actually in the lease, I do specify that we can't do any engines, any snow blowers, lawn mowers, cars, anything with combustibles.
Okay, so it's basically, it's illegal to store fuel in any of them?
It's not illegal, but it's against my policy, because what happens is that my insurance is affected by that.
I guess what I'm getting at is if our fire department is expected to take care of these units in case of a fire, what guarantee do we have that we're not doubling their risk as to what somebody that doesn't think straight put in them?
And no more guarantee than the guy who parks a tanker truck next door on his land. I mean, that
But
risk
that's
is
outside. It's not contained in, you know what I'm saying? If it's inside, nobody knows what's in there. They're trying to extinguish a fire or something at one end of the building, and the fumes at the other end get over and boom. Somebody's apt to put gas grill, propane tanks, you name it. People are known to put them in there. If they got to get it out of the way, they put them in a storage unit. They think it's okay. Not everybody thinks straight. It's a concern that I have to have unknowns put in them.
no, you're
Could
right.
happen anywhere. I mean, you see it in the movies all the time, but there's some people that really would do harm or not know any better. We'll put it that way.
You're right. And all I can say is that in my lease, it states that you can, put not combustible, but gasoline, petroleum. But I can't guarantee that someone isn't storing very, very, very dry wood in there next to some gunpowder.
Anything could be in them, yeah. That's a concern I have. I mean, the way it is right now, our fire department, police, everybody, if they roll onto a scene and don't have any idea what's in them, there could be anything in them. Like I suppose any house could have propane tanks in it or whatever. Just a concern if we're gonna expand in a residential area, a unit that's gonna go from 60 to 120 units, we've doubled the capacity for something to happen at that facility. Something to consider.
Mr. Chair, I have several comments on YouTube also.
Okay,
According to Mass Vocals, the business is expanding 150%. We also have an abutter who has stated that they are not for this expansion. Mass Vocals said that this will be appealed in court. The board does not have the right to expand the business or the building as they are outside of the zoning district. And he can provide the case law if you would like. One of the abutters concerns is if this goes through, what's going to be expanded next? We have another one near 917 Patriots, that's a mess as well. We have a resident that states we need to stick to our zoning bylaws. Why have them if you're going to continuously make exceptions? And it's a storage place in a in a residential area.
I don't know about the other board members, but I've received quite a few negative feedback situations on this project. I disagree with some of the stuff I've heard, and I agree with some of the stuff I've heard. One thing as a ZBA member, I've always listened to the abutters very, very closely and research what they tell us and bring it to you guys as we meet, as I have in the past. Things about storage facilities go back in their own history as to what has happened there over the years, and some of the abutters have problems with the trailers. Some of the abutters have problems with having a camper out there that somebody had lived in on and off, and issues like that get brought up. And as ZBA members, we're supposed to listen to that, take it for what it's worth. But if we didn't hear any of it, I wouldn't have a problem with a vote to expand or do almost anything like any other zoning board meeting we have. If the people that live right next door don't come and complain, they're okay with it. We've had some come and say, yeah, okay, it's fine. I'm happy to have him put his porch there. I could care less, you know, but if we have people come and complain, then we have to take that into consideration. Very much so.
Yep, well said, David.
I got a comment too, John. I think I kind of agree with Dave, because I didn't realize that he's doubling, he's gonna be doubling this. And we have got to take the consideration of the neighbors too, where this is not zoned for that. And I do think he's trying to make this too large for that area.
Do you have a number that you think would be more realistic to expand? How large to make it?
What does he have there now? 64?
Yeah, what do you got there, Jim? 63, you said?
364, I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah. I don't think you should have much more than probably maybe 100, 125 the most. And another question too, do you have width enough on that going down between those things for vehicles to go by, to pass?
Yes, I do.
So in between the buildings, what's the exact footage right now that you would propose to have between them? I mean, you got 25 written down here, but the buildings themselves don't look straight. I don't know if it's wider where the two older buildings come closest to the other. And the other thing is, when you have a break between the buildings, they're offset. So if, say, what I'm looking at is, we're gonna put a fire truck in there. Say if there's a fire at the second unit, on the corner of the second unit, you can only get so far in and then you're stopped. You can't go any further because of that fire. There's no way to get past it, around it. You get what I'm saying? Because
Dave, just so you know, the average road in the town of Templeton is 25 feet.
okay, but now you take that average road, say it's a car fire, and you don't have that whole road anymore, do you? Now you got a fire truck that's got.
The fire truck will get in there. That's a
Yeah.
question for the fire chief.
Yeah.
They'll get in there. Look at Day Mills, not even 25 feet.
No,
No.
I'm just thinking if somebody's trying to access their unit, they're taking up more than just the size of the car. Because they're not right up against the building. They're gonna be 4 or 5 feet away from the building. Because they may be unloading from the side of a van. They could be using at least 10, 15 feet of the area if they have a trailer even, you know. So if you have 1 or 2 in there at a time, which is easily said that there'd be 10 in there at a time on a Saturday. I bet some days you've got quite a few going and coming and going because it's convenient on a weekend to be doing your moving or removing, whatever you're doing. I'm just concerned, you know, if we're gonna have so many feet restriction to be able to get in and out of there if something happened.
The roads in Back Bay are 25 feet. The roads that are in Day Mill aren't even 25 feet. There's plenty of room.
Footage from the road to the curb's one thing, footage from, you know, the door to another door, building to building. That's my concern, you know, because there's nothing, you could walk around over the curb to get around. The houses aren't right up to the curb. These would be, these buildings, if you're saying 25 feet, whatever it is, that's what you've got. You don't have another inch more than that. Versus a road. I mean, you could jump the curb and drive around something that's an obstacle in the way, you know.
Well, I don't know, Dave, you plow roads in town, right?
Yeah.
There's plenty of people that park on the side of the road. You could still drive your truck around the car and plow. I see you guys doing it. There's plenty of room.
Luckily, it ain't on fire.
There's still plenty of room. You got a good sized truck with your plow on it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Same as a fire truck.
Yeah, if you shrink the buildings down so you have your 30-foot rear setback, that would give you more room to actually get a fire truck behind the buildings to come down the other aisle if it need be. If there was something blocking the road, you know, you'd be able to come in from both ends that way.
Absolutely. And that's all flat land back there. It's been cleared. It's just grindings. So it's always going to stay open.
Mr. Chair, I have 2 more comments. One is a question.
Okay, Laurie?
To the chair, please state the authority, cite the law that the board can act to allow any non-conforming use to expand. And by the way, this has nothing to do with taxes for town. That is a biased statement. And one more, the power granted to board is by legislation to grant variance. The criteria set forth in the statute is interpreted by the courts. Please produce the case which would allow this request to be granted. All those measures are void as the use is prohibited.
Okay, this hearing is based on section 5.2.2 of non-conforming uses. That's the zoning section that we're hearing this case. I hope that helps. And we've had a lot of comments on shrinking it. I know the plan itself here, it's as written here, it's not feasible. So I think as a board, we'd need to have a updated plan. I don't know if we'd be ready to, we definitely wouldn't be ready to grant this, I don't think. How's the board feel?
I agree with you, John. And also, while we're doing that, and you can get the proposed landscaping like you had mentioned on the front and the back, and we can also get a number of how many extra storage unit he plans on putting in. We can get a number.
Yeah, or, you know, maybe we
63,
could give an
64
idea
now.
of, you know, maybe if the board, we could have a consensus of where we feel it would be achievable at, you know, at a certain number. Could we get a consensus of the board to a number that would be happier with considering? I don't, Dennis, you mentioned a number.
Yeah, I think I mentioned, I think I mentioned 50 more units.
Just instead of going tripling the size of it,
Yes,
say just double the size of it, something like that.
yes.
I could live with that myself.
And also the front would have to be, they'd have to be shortened to something on the front to give us more road towards the road.
Yeah, more room for screening and,
Yes. I would almost like to see a fence right on across the front, but I don't know if that's something that could be done.
yeah, either a fence or some natural screening.
Yes, yes.
But would want to leave the existing entrances the same size, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
you'd have,
Yes.
Yeah.
Just the setback would have to be a little more.
So if you push the buildings back and then add some plantings. Yeah, okay.
If you shrunk the back one, that's 80, what is it, 85 feet? And shrunk the front of them through there, you'd give you the room for the back and the front.
Okay. You mean 180 by 20, the long, thin one? They both have to go back, but in the front, I'm a little confused as to what you're thinking.
Okay, the one you're proposing, what is it, 150 feet?
There's one that is 180 by 20, and then there are two that are 100 by 30.
Okay, we'll see. What I see here is yeah, I see one over here. The further one over, I see it shows 200 feet. Is that right? Towards the barn?
Well, there are the ones all the way to the right are existing.
Right, we understand that.
Yeah, so there's the short one that's sort of over the barn,
Yeah,
100 by 30.
right.
The size of that building, and then the long skinny one next to it is 180 by 20.
Yeah.
I don't see 200 anywhere, but that's okay. So
Well, maybe I got the different planning. The one I got here where it says garage residence, and there's a building proposed that says 200 feet by 40 feet.
I'm looking at the same thing, Dennis.
the old plan, that's the plan from the last meeting.
Okay, all right, then that's not existing then.
no, we got a new plan for this meeting,
All right, I must not have the new plan.
Dennis.
I must not have the new plan.
Yeah, we got it in the emails here recently.
I thought I got the new email, but maybe I don't. Apparently I don't have it right here. I must have, I got the old one then. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I have the old one, John.
Well, I think we're gonna need a new set of plans altogether
Yeah.
before we decide anything.
Yeah, it should show some screening, proposed screening, more detail on the proposed screening. And yeah, I think personally, I'd like to see it shrunk down, especially with the concerns of the neighbors to
I agree.
the volume. As proposed, it's almost tripling the size that's there. It'll end up tripling the size of it, adding almost 2 times what's already there is what's being proposed. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I've been by there and I can't see how he can put that much in there.
Well, it does fit, and there's really not much to these buildings.
Yeah, I know.
There's plenty of room. It's all, okay, so, yeah, so 50 units is about one building.
Mr. Chair, I do have other comments and questions.
Okay, Laurie?
One of them is asking how many of the units are currently empty.
None.
Okay. One comment is the board is to protect the district and it's expanding commercial use without regard to the district uses and others, 4 of us. I've been asked how many signatures it will take to stop this from happening. I will have to research that. That's an outside question that'll come later. Let's see. And the buildings are not allowed.
Okay. I don't know what they're basing their comments on. It's, we've said it many times that there's provisions in the bylaws to expand pre-existing non-conforming uses. It's a special permit. If we can make a determination that the existing use is not more detrimental to the neighborhood, then the board has the power to grant this. This is a provision of the state law and the town bylaw. If it was, yep, go ahead.
And you mentioned a number that the article or whatever it was that we use under the law. I'm just curious what that number was again. I didn't write it down.
Yeah, the hearing we're having today, the building inspector denial letter is based under section 5.2.2, non-conforming uses.
Okay, now, just for clarity, in case somebody else hasn't got the piece of paper in front of them that I do, this is the zoning article 5 use regulations, and subsection 319 is non-conforming uses and structures. One of the things is change or substantially extension of the use. Change from one non-conforming use to another less detrimental non-conforming use. These are the changes that our board considers and does if we don't have a lot of negativity from the neighbors, I believe. These are, I believe I pulled these off the town website under the zoning laws, and they're open for anybody to read. However, we find that a lot of times we'll get into discussion at town meeting and all of a sudden something comes up, this little thing called case law. And usually it's a surprise to everybody to find out a case law changes laws that we may use or may not use in whatever circumstance that comes up. And all of a sudden we find out we've not been doing things right. I don't mean us as a ZBA board. I mean, just whatever the discussion was, whenever that came out about case law. And a lot of times it changes the wind direction instantly to either allow or not allow something to go forward. I think it behooves us to check to see about case law, if there is any that may have changed whatever our zoning laws are, if they're up to date. I don't know if the codification of the town bylaws took into effect the zoning laws that we go by. But I think, you know, especially where we've got so many abutters in on this that have legitimate concerns, we owe it to them to make sure we're on the up and up if we grant this. Otherwise, it's going to get thrown right back at us. I can guarantee you that one. With due diligence, I don't know if we serve well to get a hold of the council and see what their opinion is if we do go forward.
Yeah, and I believe there's some obligation to the neighbors that are opposing this to come up with case law, and you know, they have a burden of proof. They're making a lot of comments that it's just, you know, it's not zone for it. We're changing zoning, which and that's not the case here. You know, the case is we're hearing a case for an expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming use, which everything I've read, we do have a chance to look at that. The applicant has the right to get an appeal to get a special permit to expand his non-conforming use. He has that right. He's exercising his right, and it's up to this board to determine whether the objections are substantial enough and that this cannot, as proposed, it cannot happen as without making it more detrimental to the neighborhood.
Right.
I really haven't heard any examples of, you know, there's problems that the existing use is having to the neighborhood. There's issues, and by doubling it, we're going to double those issues. You know, I really haven't heard anything specific like that. That's me personally. I don't know if any of the other board members feel the same way, or if I'm a little wrong on my assumptions here. But to date, I really haven't heard anything that says that this use has been detrimental XYZ, and expanding it will double the problem. You know, I really haven't heard that.
I agree with you, John.
So, you know, this board can do some homework, and then I believe the neighbors that are speaking against this, they really need to, you know, to do theirs as well, and really give us a reason. So far, I haven't heard it. I have issues with this, with the size of it, with the encroaching on the buffer zones and landscaping in the highway right of way. But you know, I believe those things can be addressed, and we'll be able to take another look at it. But we can do some more homework as well, and and make sure we got our concerns of our abutters as well.
Yeah, I think, John, that we're gonna need another set, definitely another set of prints, and we're probably gonna have to come up with a number of how many units we want to limit it to. I know Dennis said another 50, and that sounded good to me. And that would probably eliminate a building anyways. And then you could widen out the roads with that too. And, you know, all around you could, with that one out, you could do a lot of things. But we're definitely gonna need another set of plans to go on. I mean, there's just no way we could vote on this, I feel, tonight.
Yep. Jim, are you agreeable to that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to do something, but at some point it becomes not feasible, so we'll give it another shot and we'll see. You know, buildings don't go up for free, so let's give it another go around and see what happens.
Okay, how much time do you think you would need?
I mean, as soon as you guys can meet, I mean, a couple of weeks, I'm sure my surveyor can turn this around pretty quick. It's not like you have to go out and survey it again. Looks like mostly computer work. I mean, just for reference, each one of those buildings on the far right is about 30 units, 32. So if the board feels that 50 units is what they'll allow, then it's really only, one building, one long building. So I'm just looking at it. And then we're just making it wider because we feel that a fire truck can't make it down one side. To go from 25 to what, 30 feet or between the buildings or something? Is that what you want to see?
30 would be better than 25.
Okay, so we can land on 30. And then on the other side, it'll just be, open, so that won't be an issue.
Mr. Chair, when you're ready, I have further comments.
Okay,
So we've been asked if the board consults with town council. There's comments that residents don't believe that the information they have sent has been read, and Mass Vocals frankly disagrees with the board members and feels that the board members don't know the law and that you can be held responsible. No units, none that are non-conforming uses. And he'd like to bring to your attention that this property has a history. There is a file for a previous request. And that's it.
okay, I would like to have these neighbor comments to be more specific. It's hard to get a handle on what they're talking about. I don't know if the rest of the board feels the same way I do. Do you really understand? Have you read the letters that we've received on this up to date?
I
Yes,
read
I
two
have.
letters from,
I've read them all.
Yeah,
The one that intrigues me to read is the one about the case law. Like I said before, we've all been surprised one way or another at one time or another, maybe not at a ZBA meeting, but when case law gets brought out, all of a sudden the discussion changes in a hurry. I don't know. I don't know when the last ZBA variance denial was ever heard or taken to court to see if it was legal or not, and was overturned. As soon as something gets overturned that we supposedly can decide, case law prevails. Some judge somewhere got taken to court and, oh, you can't do that anymore. Well, if we're going down that path, may as well find out now before we make mistake after mistake. I don't know. I know the stuff that I read, and a lot of it's on the bottom of it's got the date when it was last revision. And I think the one I'm reading was 2008, 3/6/2008. So, you know, a lot can happen in 12, 15 years, you know. I just wanted to be sure, you know, if somebody's squawking about case law and if it's true, and we allow it, then I'd hate to see Mr. Davis get in the middle of construction and get case law thrown at him and say, hey, you gotta stop. We don't want him throwing his money away any more than any of us want to be, you know, hauled into court, held liable because we've done something to their neighborhood that we shouldn't have done.
So do you have a specific question you'd like to ask town council?
I would like to know that if there has been any revisions to our zoning bylaws that were picked up during the codification. Supposedly they reviewed them all. I don't know if it had anything to do with these zoning bylaws, or if this is something that has to be decided at a town meeting. There's a lot of laws out there that aren't what you think they are, and after you find out about case law, something got decided somewhere and changes the whole outlook of the whole procedure. I mean, do we want to put the cart in front of the horse?
Well, this
I don't want to.
well, this board needs to know if there's a bylaw that the neighbors are hanging their hat on here. You know, they need to be more specific, and we can look into that.
Yeah.
Is there anything you've read in the letters that would trigger a question that you could ask a town council?
Just about allowing under our zoning laws and date at this date, other than our ability to change, to extend, expand, change, any of that stuff, that it should be looked at to see if there has been case law that may have changed it. I don't know, you know, exactly how to write it to give to council, but I would say that it wouldn't hurt to, you know, have a little discussion with them and say, you know, well, we've got somebody saying that case law doesn't allow us to do this anymore. I don't know. Right now, we've got somebody saying that. But I'm gonna try to get the information about the case law. And when we come back after Mr. Davis does his replot plan, I'll try to have that with us. I don't know if we can get council to do any digging before then or not. I don't, you know, we still got the appeal process. So even after we say, okay, we're gonna let them expand, any of us or any of the neighbors can go up within what, 20, 21 days and say, hey, I appeal your decision. It puts the brakes on everything. It's got to be reviewed again. Is that correct?
Yeah, then it goes to the courts. The appellant.
So I would have to say, maybe that case law shows up right there. And maybe we're not right doing what we've been doing. I don't know. It's hard to say without checking. And we don't want to be the ones that get spanked. Financial wise, I don't want to get spanked. If we're allowing something that harms somebody else's property or value, we're on the hook. I don't know if indemnification from the town is warranted in our case or not. Right, Dennis?
Right, right.
Okay. I've been told I'm indemnified as a town employee, but I don't know if that's a ZBA member too. Right?
John, I got a
We have
question.
an,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Laurie.
okay, we have, one of the abutters concern is with allowing business in residential areas. Is there a tipping point when the residential has more commercial than the residential homes and now needs to be rezoned?
No, that's not what this is about. This isn't about rezoning. This is about the landowners have a right to expand their non-conforming use. They have rights, just as the zoning gives people rights to build houses. But there's conditions of these rights that they try to be fair to all. And so if you have a pre-existing non-conforming use, you have an ability to get a special permit if you can prove that your use is not detrimental to the neighborhood, the expansion of your use will not be more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing use. So that it's not changing the zoning. It's not a carte blanche that once we allow this, everybody can do anything they want commercially. It's a case by case basis. This is specific to this one property.
John, I got a
May I-
question. Oh, go ahead, Laurie.
That's okay, Dennis, go ahead.
No, but since I've been on the board, unfortunately, we've never had a problem with the butters when we've given an appeals out. So this was kind of hard.
Yeah. It's unusual. Yeah.
I think a lot of it boils down to the neighborhood. If you drive through there and you look across the street, it's a disaster zone. I think anybody that drives by will know what I'm talking about. And you go up the road, and it was stated earlier in one of the other callers, just under Route 2, you get another disaster zone there. And if the town ever had to pick up the pieces, it's gonna cost us a lot of tax revenue to straighten it out.
But you really can't,
Nothing to do with Davis. Don't get me wrong. It's
that
nothing to do with him. He's
Right.
operating legal, and about 80% of the others in town aren't. They're not zoned for it, whether they've been doing it 100 years or not. It don't matter. If they never got a business certificate, it was never considered a business, period. If they wanted to be a business, they had their choice before zoning went in to get their business certificates, do it legally, do it above the board, and not under the table behind the curtain.
in this particular property, has been run as a business, and that's why he's afforded this opportunity to expand his business with a special permit. If the board deems it can be done without being more detrimental to the neighborhood.
And it would be a chance for the board to make sure that I don't become like the place down the road or the one on the other side of Route 2. By, if I'm going for a special permit, it would be regulated. For example, no outdoor parking, get those trailers out of there. Put up some perimeter fencing. I mean, you don't have that power over the other guys, obviously, because they're doing whatever they want and no one's doing anything about it.
Yeah, that's
I'd like
not
to
this
correct you
board's
on that.
jurisdiction.
Those are
Yes, Laurie?
both, those are both under investigation. One is in court and the other one is being worked on. So I'd like to correct that.
Well, I mean, this
Okay.
gives the town the chance to keep it out of court, the way I see it.
John, I'd like to see when he comes up with a plan, with revised plan, that he shows the front, how he's gonna fix the front and with the fence, and how he's gonna landscape the front of it on that plan that he's gonna come up with.
Yeah, I agree with you.
What would make the board happy? What would you like to see?
Just a fence that is neat around, you can even put stone there or something, just so it's neat there by the road, you know what I mean?
Sure, no
Yeah.
problem.
I mean,
No.
whatever the board, I don't care what they, if it's up to the board what they, but I just think so it'd be neat there. That's all. That's my opinion. I don't know what else anybody else on the board feels.
Yeah, and I have absolutely no problem drawing that in. I think the only problem is what, I forget which board member brought it up. If we're within the state right of way, I guess technically I can't touch those existing plantings right now.
No,
So it'll be a mess, but then I'll have it nice on my property. That's for sure.
right, right. Yeah, as far as the setback from the town, from the state, for the town, you don't have any, you can't do anything with that. I understand that.
But if, you know, but if you're shrinking the buildings, down, you can push those buildings back. And so the two new buildings, you would have a lot more room to do some screenings off of the right of way for the state.
Sure. Understood.
You know, it's a little tight where the existing building is, so, you know, you can try to dress that up a little bit with a fence or whatever. And we realize, you know, you want the openings, you want to be able to see coming out into the road, you want to have good egress. So that all makes sense, but just dress up where the roads aren't, you know, with little landscaping, and you'll have room to do it on your property. If, you know, if you're shrinking the buildings down, so you limit it to, you know, another 50, you know, instead of tripling the size of the place, you're just doubling it, you know, that would be, I think that would go a long way to making the board happy.
And you're still gonna take that barn down, correct? That shed, there's in their shed.
And yeah, I guess, I'm just wondering now if it's better to leave it and vinyl side it and make it match the other building and then do something behind it. I'm just going from what I have now to 50 units is really not that much.
But yeah, otherwise what you're gonna do is try to use that building too for more units.
Well, it's already rented right now. Right now, it's actually occupied. I mean, it's not just a vacant barn. I've got somebody in there that rents it.
Yeah.
So if we put
I
garage
thought-
doors on
I
it.
thought, and you gave us originally, you were gonna take that down.
Well, that was the hope if I put up 3 buildings.
Yeah,
But if I put up 1 building or, you know, now it's going from, like you say, tripling to doubling.
yeah.
Don't need that much space.
Well, so you're still gonna be expanding.
Well, I'm going to be expanding whether I do 1 building or 3, yes.
How many units do you have in that pole barn right now?
2, but 1 person rents it.
Okay.
All right, with any other comments?
I have 2 that just came through. This program is evidence to the incompetency of the knowledge of the member in laws and the mission of the board to enforce the present zoning. The renting of space for trailers is illegal. There is no stats to his handwritten license. I'm not sure what that means. So John, to clarify, this is going to be moved to another meeting?
Yes, I think we'd have to have a vote on that, but yeah, that's probably need a
Okay.
motion to continue this hearing. Do you have a date in mind, Laurie?
I don't. I'll have to look at the calendar and check with TCTV to see how and when we can do it.
Okay. So do we have a motion to continue this hearing? Any discussion?
Don, I do have a little, we're gonna make sure that he does have all his ducks in a row with the new set of plans before we come back for another meeting. Am I correct?
Yes, that's the consensus I'm getting from the board.
And the 50 units extra, and I'm not sure how you want to work with that pole barn situation. I know he wanted to take it down. I know we were talking about earlier, at the earlier meetings, the aesthetics of having that gone, and it look a lot better. And even Jim, you had said that yourself, so we keep that maybe into that, maybe losing that.
So there's pressure to take what if I vinyl sided the pole barn and put garage doors on it and made it match the other building and built behind it? Because, one of the reasons why it works is because, I'm losing a certain amount of money from the pole barn, but I'm gaining more with more buildings. But now we've cut the buildings in half, basically. So the revenue's gone. And, as much as I want to be a good guy, I'm here to try to make some money as well as make the place look good.
Understandable.
What if you go to 55 units and take the building down? Would that make it?
Hold on. If you could get to like 65,
No,
No, that's too much.
okay.
If
If you,
what we're looking for is a number that's less than double.
well, so I'm not sure if I have exactly 63, but what if we just went to 60?
no.
Okay,
I mean, that's my opinion.
it's a strong one.
We're all just one vote, Jim. It's just.
That's right.
We as a board like to hash it out, and that's what we're supposed to do.
I get it.
If
No,
we don't hash it out, we don't need to be on this board. I
Yeah.
mean, this one is complicated. It seems cut and dried, but it's just not. When we hear so much and so many calls and so many things thrown at us, we got to do our homework on this one. No doubt about it.
as do I. So yeah, you're saying that if the pole barn's taken down and I put up a 55 unit building, landscaping in the front, I totally get. Setbacks in the rear, I'm sorry about that. That was an oversight on my part. The board would look at that more favorably.
Yeah, I believe we would. At least I would.
Okay, let's see how it looks.
And I think that would appease some of the neighbors too, not putting as many buildings in and losing the pole barn and making it look nice.
Yeah, and getting rid of the outdoor storage, I think, would address some of the neighbor concerns.
I agree.
That's some of the specific complaints were the outdoor storage of trailers back there, and so if those could go away, I think this could be a win-win for you as well as the neighbors.
Yeah, not opposed to the outdoor storage, that's for sure.
And, I know you mentioned earlier about your own vehicles, your plow vehicles, and if they're registered vehicles or for maintenance around the grounds, that's no different than storing your own car in your driveway. I don't have a problem with that. Your employees parking outside, that's understandable. But as far as renting space.
That won't happen there. No.
Yeah.
I got one more question, John. Now, the trucks he has two vehicles there. Is one of them that he leaves there all year and he rents out the plow to the state, the town, or anything?
No, those are actually just two parts trucks that I have because I collect old Dodges. But the intent is when the trailers get out of there and I get those old trucks out of there, I would have a working vehicle that I would use to plow this spot and the other one that I own down the street. So,
So you're storing a truck there that you hire out to plow?
well, I plow. I get in the truck and I plow. I don't,
Yeah,
Plows-
for the state?
no, just for me, just for this property and a property down the street.
Oh, all right, okay, John, I understand. Okay,
All right, with that said, I think there isn't much more to say until the next meeting, till we get all the other schematics in. And the drawings and everything, so. I'll make a motion to,
Just a minute. When you say schematics and drawings and everything.
well, I mean, the drawings for the new building and, you know, the new proposal.
Right, but on this, so altering this existing plan is enough, correct?
This plan's gonna have to change. I mean, if you're gonna drop it down to 55 units, obviously you're gonna have to redo the whole plan setup.
Yes, I'm sorry.
The
Mr.
whole
So-
plot plan. And show us, like John had said, where you're gonna put some fences and shrubberies or whatever you plan on doing as far as that goes.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep.
And I don't know if you're gonna have lighting, what, you know, your proposed lighting on the property.
So right now we have telephone poles that we lease from Templeton Light. I don't know if a few more of those would work, or if you want to see lighting on the buildings. Or the building at this point, it's only gonna be one building now. So yeah, I guess I could show lighting on the building.
John, I would think maybe just one pole and one big light would light that whole area, wouldn't it?
It's what I have now. I have
No,
two.
well, I mean, as long as it's lit up fine, I think it's fine the way it is.
Yeah, yep.
I mean, that's my opinion.
Okay. So we'll continue it to a later date. We can't get any more specific than that, Laurie?
Not at the moment, John, I'm sorry.
Okay, so stay tuned. We'll let Jim know. We'll let Jim know and we'll be advertising it for the public to find out when the next hearing will be.
Yes.
Okay,
All right. Thank you, guys.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you, Jim.
I'm gonna sign off.
okay. See you, Jim. So all those in favor of continuing this? Say aye.
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 Hey,
All right. None opposed, unanimous. We'll continue this public hearing to a later date. To be announced.
see you guys.
See ya.
See you later,
Take care.
guys.
Be safe.
Good work.
Stay healthy.
Yes.